Atkinson won, I think, so they won 52 games this year and 64 last year.
It's 116 if that math is correct.
So 116, let's say it's around 120 regular season games. He won 3 playoff series. Cavs' first conference finals without LeBron since I was in 8th grade in the 90s.
A long time ago.
Yeah. Not ideal that it would have to be news today that he was not getting fired.
That's correct.
And I think that sort of sums up where the Cavs season ended, which is they can't be like upset, but it stops short of being satisfied. And that leaves them in an interesting position going forward.
Yes, I would agree. And I will refer back to the tweet that Dan Gilbert sent out after the game last night. We took a step ahead this spring, but we are nowhere near where we need to be. Can't thank the fans enough for their support this year. We will dig in all summer and do everything we possibly can to take the next step. We will grind until we get there. And he congratulated the Knicks. Now, the Cavs are nowhere near where they need to be, and they're going to do everything they possibly can to take the next step. So, Brian, you've been around the NBA for a long time. The Cavs have chosen to keep their head coach, by extension, keep their front office, and I think you would agree that they're not going to trade Donovan Mitchell, and they're going to re-sign in some form or fashion James Harden. So, if the Cavs are nowhere near where they need to be, and they're going to grind all summer to get there, to me, it very obviously says Evan Mobley will not be on the Cavs next season, or at least that he is not going to be on the Cavs if they do anything to the roster, because that is the one lever they have to really pull to actually fundamentally change the team and truly get the player that is better than Donovan Mitchell on the roster, because that is inherently the problem the Cavs have. When the Cavs made the Donovan Mitchell trade, the idea was Evan Mobley would ascend and become the best player by about now, and Donovan Mitchell would be a perfect second player with him, or Donovan Mitchell would be good enough, right? And we're now 4 years into the experiment, and neither of my pretty clear read of where things sit.
Yeah, so they have 2 pathways, and let me acknowledge the 2 pathways. Although Dan Gilbert's tweet, if we take it at face value, which I don't think we shouldn't, I think we should take it at face value. That's a better way to say it. They could, Kenny Atkinson came up and basically made the pitch, and it was kind of half-hearted. And quite frankly, Kenny Atkinson public appearances in the last 10 days have been a little rough. So, but I think we should acknowledge that he said that, he thinks they should bring the team back, put him through a training camp, because a big chunk of the team changed midseason, especially James Harden. And that's definitely a shock to the system. And he thinks that they can be successful next year. And, I think we should point out that the Knicks reached the conference finals last year, changed their coach, but basically held their roster intact and believed.
But hold on. The Knicks changed their coach.
Right.
The Knicks didn't run it back with the same group.
The Knicks also upset the Celtics last year and were pretty impressive, and
correct. But again, the Knicks changed their head coach. They
correct.
bet that a change in head coach would change the formula. It wasn't, we're going to run back with the exact same thing.
That's correct.
And we're gonna be better. Like, it would have been understandable if the Knicks had done that last year, just like it's understandable that the Cavs brought back Kenny Atkinson. But the Cavs were not good enough this year. Their playoff run was, yes, they got to the conference finals, but it was not an impressive run to the conference finals. They wheezed their way there past 2 flawed teams. And again, like you said, Dan Gilbert.
The Knicks playoff run was more impressive last year. It was easier to sell
for sure.
The idea of that.
And the conference finals were competitive.
It was 7 games.
Well, but that's what I mean. It was 6 games.
The exact inverse.
Oh, it was 6 games. But it was a long competitive series, and
right. This one was not.
This was not.
All right. So let me get to where you're going. So I just have to acknowledge that one pathway is status quo. I know
sure.
that
of course,
steam comes out of people's ears in Cleveland. I was saying this today on Cleveland media. They do not want to even discuss that, but Kenny Atkinson put it out there, and I know, talking to some people in and around the organization, that is on the table. I don't think that's the way they're going to go, but it's not good reporting for me to tell you that that's not on the table, because it is.
For sure.
All right. Now, you mentioned Evan Mobley. When the Cavs traded 26-year-old Darius Garland for 36-year-old James Harden, they crossed a Rubicon, as we've discussed on this podcast, that they know it was like when Nixon took the U.S. off the gold standard. the Cavs
That
took
was
themselves,
not the reference you should have done on the podcast there, Pally.
I missed McMahon. It's too bad McMahon's not here for that. They went off the Mobley standard and onto the Mitchell standard. Okay. And so that's a half measure. And so the question is, will they go full measure? And I don't think it only has to be Evan Mobley. I think they could examine Max Strus and Jared Allen as
they can't. Not really. Because again, the fundamental problem. Well, let's have a real conversation about the Cavs, right? The Cavs can do lots of things, right? Sure, the Cavs can do all sorts of different paths, like in the abstract. But the reality is very clear. Donovan Mitchell is not good enough to be the number one guy on a team to get to the end. He's a great player, but he's proven over time with both Utah and now Cleveland to not be that good. Which again, there's only a couple guys in the league who are that good. That's not a crime. Evan Mobley was supposed to be a guy who could potentially ascend to be that level of player. It's only year 5. I guess you can't rule out the chance of that happening, but I think it's safe to say it's unlikely Evan Mobley's going to become that kind of player. So, to me, it's either the Cavs run it back with this group and hope that despite all the available evidence that we have, things are going to completely change, or they look in the mirror and say, okay, if we're really committing to the Donovan Mitchell timeline, which they're going to re-sign Donovan Mitchell, or they're going to try to, and Donovan has said he wants to stay there. And they already made, to your point, a Darius Garland for James Harden trade, which is a win-now trade. If you can use Evan Mobley to get a player that's better than Donovan Mitchell right now, this is your window. James Harden's 37, or going to be 37. It's not like he's 32 or 27. Donovan Mitchell is across 30. Like, this is the time to win is right now, not in 3 years.
Right. So, okay. But I just want to acknowledge, before all the Cavs fans think you've got Evan Mobley traded, that there is another path that they could look, to trade Max Strus, who's going into the last year at $17 million.
Are any of those trades going to make the Cavs good enough?
I'm reporting the way the system goes. I'm not saying what they should do. You're saying what they should do, and that's fine.
No, I'm going off of the evidence of what Dan Gilbert said, which, as you said, I think it's fair to take at least some stock in what Dan Gilbert said. And the Cavs, and let's go off actions over words. The actions of the Cavs in February were that the window is now.
Correct.
Not in 3 or 4 years. So again, and I'm not saying trade Evan Mobley for a bag of beans. Evan Mobley's a really good player. But again, the statement is you in theory either need to have Donovan Mitchell be good enough, or you need to get a player that's better than Donovan Mitchell, so he's the second best player, which he obviously is good enough to do that.
Okay, a few housekeeping items. Evan Mobley has 4 years and $220 million left on his contract. He has a $42 million player option, but it's not really a player option. It's a strange contract. It was difficult for me to sort of go over this with some of the folks at ESPN the last day. It's a player option. He technically controls it, but if he opts in, only $13 million of it is guaranteed. I say only, like that's a small amount, but and the Clippers were not prepared to pick that up or guarantee him a new contract. That's why he ended up getting traded. What is going to happen is that he is going to opt out of that contract, become a free agent. And the Cavs are very likely going to sign him to a new multi-year deal where he gets more guaranteed money. Like I said, he's guaranteed right now about $30 million. He's guaranteed $13 million.
Right. He's going to be a Cav on a multi-year deal.
Right, but let me tell you the reason why. The point is they bring his number down, and then they dip under the second apron. And by dipping under the second apron, they open themselves up to be able to make more complex trades. Now, you say Evan Mobley, you think about what they could do with them. The first name that comes to mind is Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Mobley will turn 25 in the offseason. Giannis, I believe, is 31. Evan Mobley has had a couple of injury things. He had knee surgery a couple of years ago. but has been healthier than Giannis over the last few years, obviously younger. But as somebody in Cleveland told me this week, the Cavs drafted Evan Mobley to hopefully become Giannis. Would they pass on the opportunity to actually trade for Giannis?
That's the kind of trade we're talking about. I'm not saying trade Evan Mobley for draft picks or trade Evan Mobley for role players or whatever. That's not it. That's not the move. The move, if you're really looking at where the Cavs are at, again, use the Knicks as an example. What did the Knicks do? The Knicks fired their coach to try to get better. Go back a couple of years ago when the Celtics lost in the playoffs, right? What did they do? They went and got Drew Holiday. They went and got Kristaps Porzingis, right? What did the Thunder do? The Thunder went and got Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso. Now, they already had Shea, but again, getting another role player on this Cavs team is not going to be the thing that makes a difference. So if you're going to make a real significant change, it's got to be, and they already passed on changing the coach, and you're keeping Donovan Mitchell and you're keeping James Harden, there's only really one change left to make.
Right. And let me just say, like, I don't know if the Cavs could have beaten the Celtics this year. They were on the opposite side of the draw, and Tatum got hurt. They obviously were not in the same class as the Knicks, and I don't know where. They barely beat the Raptors without Quickly and Ingram for most of the series,
and they barely beat the Pistons.
Yes, but they did beat them.
They did,
and I don't know
where the Pistons
are
younger and should get better.
And I don't know where they would rank against the reinvigorated Pacers, who they couldn't beat last year.
The East is going to be deeper next year.
So the question I have for you is, if they come with Evan Mobley, and they have a couple of other assets, they have Max Strus, like I said, $17 million expiring contract.
That's not really an asset. Their assets are their draft picks, and I would say Jalen Tyson, who's a pretty interesting second-year wing. That's, I'd say, what their assets are.
They have 2 first-round picks they can trade, but one of them is this year's pick, which is 29th, which is not an attractive piece, but it's still a first-round pick. So in there,
I think they have an extra one to trade once they get to the draft too, right? Because of the new league year.
Yeah, but their 20 whatever, 30 whatever pick is frozen because they were.
Oh, that's right. Picks. That's right. They got a frozen pick. Forgot about that.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
So they have
Second
2 that they
rules.
can trade, but I think it's 2. Don't hold me to this, but I think it's 31 they can trade.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And they can trade 26 after the draft.
Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you: do you think Evan Mobley, and maybe you could add a pick, and maybe you could add another player? I don't know. Is that enough to get the Bucks interested in doing it?
I think it's enough. Yeah, I think it's enough. I think, Evan Mobley is a super interesting young player who would have a lot of value. And I think whether the Bucks want to keep him, build around him, or if they want to flip him again, I think he could, I would say if you're a team in Milwaukee's position, you go back and look at what the Oklahoma City Thunder did in the wake of the Paul George trade, right? They made about, I think it was either that summer, that offseason, or the next one. They made about 12 trades in 12 days, right? It just kept accumulating assets. And for a team like Milwaukee, that's what you need to do. And they could turn Evan Mobley into a ton of stuff from somebody else. Because Evan Mobley, even though he's not as good as Giannis, he probably has more homes than Giannis for a variety of reasons. So I do think that that's a winning package to get Giannis if they decide to do it. And, I would understand if they didn't. But again, I'm just going by the logic path of what Dan Gilbert said and knowing how the Cavs operate. And like Dan Gilbert has never been somebody who's satisfied with just having a nice team. Like for whatever you want to say about Dan Gilbert, he's always spent money. He's always invested resources. He's always wanted to try to win at the highest level.
When the Cavs won the championship in 2016, their slogan was all in. And it was Dan Gilbert who coined the slogan.
It was the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? You're not in the second apron if you're hoping to be an okay team. Like this team was supposed to be good enough. And they were very clearly, if you just want to empirically and objectively look at the Cavs season, the Cavs were not good enough, right? They weren't really close to being good enough. So the question is, do you really think just running it back with 37-year-old James Harden is going to lead to some dramatically better results? Well, let's be honest, James Harden is not exactly dynamite in the playoffs. Even if you're talking about him being your third or fourth player.
One of your big, if you're trading Mobley, you're going to want to trade him for some defense because the Cavs' big problem is perimeter defense. Okay. Now I want to discuss the LeBron James aspect of this.
Who's he again?
Yeah. So this is the name on everyone's lips in Cleveland. They naturally believe that he is a savior for them, even at age 41. And
why not?
Yeah. Now, first off, I just want to say that even if they could get LeBron James for the minimum, and I want to be very clear in the language, but let's just say for the sake of argument, they could get LeBron James essentially for free. That's not solving all of their problems because LeBron is no longer a good defensive player night in and night out. And this team's, one of its biggest problems is its defense. Obviously, the attacking of Harden and the attacking of Mitchell in what happened in this series would not be solved by signing LeBron.
That is correct.
And so whatever their solution attempt will be, whether it's trading for Giannis or it's making another trade, defense has got to be part of the thought process. So I don't think the Cavs...
No, go ahead.
I don't think the Cavs' all-in move here can be going to get LeBron.
Fundamentally, I just don't know if you're winning anything with James Harden and Donovan Mitchell anyway because of the severe limitations it's going to cause for you defensively. And that I think is really more than anything else. Like, it's the position the Cavs are in now, so I get it. But like, this was the question I had about this trade going all the way back to the beginning. And frankly, it was just a different version of the same problem of having Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, right? Like, having two guards like that aren't really going to play defense, it makes it just extraordinarily difficult to build a good enough team. Now, you have Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. They're excellent defensive players. That was sort of the construct of what the Cavs thought would work. But, if you look at the Knicks, right, they've got 3 elite perimeter defenders next to Jalen Brunson. You look at the Thunder, they've got 1 million elite perimeter defenders. You look at the Spurs, they've got all sorts of really good perimeter defenders, right? Like, you look at the Celtics, they have a lot of really good versatile perimeter defenders. Like, to win at the highest level in the playoffs, it's very hard to win with one-way guards. And they have 2 of them. So,
right. And LeBron's not a two-way perimeter player
LeBron
anymore.
At this point is not a two-way player either.
Okay. Now, let's go down the path that LeBron must go down here in the next few weeks. Number one, he has to decide whether or not he wants to play again. Okay? It looks like he's probably going to, but he has not said that, either publicly nor the people that I talk to. Okay. Number 2, his discussion has to be with the Lakers about whether he's going to continue with them. And I will just tell you, until you hear...
The only pause on that, isn't the first part of that, do the Lakers want to continue with LeBron?
Exactly. Well, I agree.
I'm just saying, they're the ones sort of with the first lever on that.
Yes, and
I'm not saying they don't, to be clear, for aggregators, but I think, they're the ones with the giant cap hold on their
I'll give the
books
aggregators
right
something right now. Okay.
Okay. Window giving the aggregators things. Okay.
Let me just say before I say that.
Got the motions up. This is going to be good.
Before I say that, let me just say that you have to understand that LeBron has to work out his future with the Lakers first before any other future happens. Okay, and from what I am told, the LeBron side is waiting for the Lakers to come to LeBron. Okay, they're not going to go to the Lakers and say, "We would like." Just like last year, they did not go to the Lakers and say, "We would like a contract extension, please." The LeBron side, from what I am told, would like the Lakers to come and say, "LeBron, here is our plan for you, or here's what we were offering, and if they're offering less than the max, here's why. Because we're going to use this cap space to sign these players, and this is where you slot in." And maybe
Can
LeBron
I interject
says,
for a second to ask you a question about this?
Yeah.
Why would they do that, the LeBron side? Why would that be the position?
I don't know. This is what I'm told.
No, I'm asking your opinion. Why would that be the position?
Well,
I'm not saying you have the answer.
I think everything that's going to happen between now and the draft, no matter what you hear and no matter what LeBron might say on his podcast or on social media or wherever in any interview, I think all of it's negotiating.
Of course.
Okay. LeBron is negotiating unconventionally, which he's known to do.
I would agree.
So And by the way, I don't think that's controversial. I don't think the players saying they're waiting to hear from the team is I don't think that's an aggressive move.
I don't think it is either. I do think, however, that the LeBron side, I think, is in a spot they've really never been in before, right? Where they don't necessarily control the situation. And they frankly have always controlled the situation going back to when LeBron was probably in, 7th grade?
Well, he's going to be unrestricted, so they have some control. But in terms of the salary, the Lakers do control what they're going to offer. Like,
they have control over the fact that LeBron could choose to just walk and play elsewhere for the minimum or an exception. But in order for LeBron to get paid somewhere where he would, in theory, want to be, they need to work with the Lakers, whether it's to play with the Lakers or play with somebody else. Now, if he's willing to just take the minimum, sure, it doesn't matter. He can just decide in August and do whatever he wants. That'll be fine. But if he wants any more than that, it's going to require some workarounds.
LeBron has a $58 million cap hold, and a cap hold is a complicated thing, and I don't want to go too far into it. Just know that the Lakers don't actually have cap space until they decide what's going to happen with LeBron. And what I mean by that is they agree to a contract with him for whatever the number is, whether the number is 58 million or the number is 8 million. Or they say, LeBron, you and us, we're moving on from each other, and they renounce his rights. But the Lakers have to deal with LeBron before they do their other business. Okay? And even if LeBron says to them, hey, I just don't know where my body is going to be yet, and so, I can't make this decision in June, the Lakers are probably going to have to say, we totally respect you. We're going to have to renounce your rights then, and we can revisit you coming back on us on a smaller contract, but we can't sit here and wait till August or even July 10th. They got to know around the draft.
And that's where it's different than it's ever been before, because in the past, LeBron had the ability to say, I'm going to decide in August, and everybody would wait. Everybody would wait till August 10th or August 15th or July 15th or July 20th.
Until July 9th or 10th. Okay.
Right, exactly. Whatever the date.
Now, so these are what we've just laid out there are very delicate, nuanced, complex, negotiation-filled days and weeks. Okay? And I can't underline this more for the aggregators who botched it again today with me.
Listen close. Don't upset our guy.
If all of that leads to LeBron saying, I'm ready to move on, and it's not going to be with the Lakers. And again, that's past whether he wants to play or not. That's past any negotiation with the Lakers. That's past whatever back and forth they have. If all of those things happen and LeBron entertains other teams, okay, then LeBron must entertain what he's willing to play for. Is he only willing to go where he can be signed and traded so that he would have substantial earnings? That he would not play for $15 million or $6 million or $3 million, which is the minimum, $3.6 million. Is he going to want something else? And if that fails, let's say that, he says to Lakers, okay, let's work on a sign and trade. And, they can't do that. Then if he's willing to play for the minimum, okay, then you bring in the concept of, well, he could go to the Warriors or he could go to the Heat or he could go to the Cavs. Okay. Because I'm seeing out there a preponderance of.
Just to back up 1 second, he could go sign with those teams for something other than the minimum. They have exceptions where they could sign him on those teams.
Correct. But yeah.
Just to be clear.
Basically, when we say he could sign for an exception, there's a mid-level exception and the veteran player exception. Signing a guy to a minimum.
Well, and there's the tax mid-level. He could sign for about $15 million, about $6 million, or the minimum. Those are really the options for the most part.
The teams that he's going to have interest in, like a team like the Warriors, they don't have the mid-level. They don't have $15 million.
I mean, I think, I've double check. I think they do.
If they use that, they'd be hard capped, and I don't even know if they could.
Well, but I'm just saying the Warriors could do that.
All right. I'm just saying there's a lot of ifs that have to be checked.
It's an extraordinarily complicated deal for him to get paid real money other than with the Lakers. And frankly, it's complicated for him to get paid real money with the Lakers.
Okay. And I hear people then say, when I say to them, well, the Cavs can't do much right now. And by the way, maybe the Cavs make 4 trades in the next 6 weeks and they all of a sudden have $25 million in cap space.
Well, but they're not going to have $25 million in cap
okay,
space.
but
hold on. Don't even give people that path because they're not.
But I'm just saying, like today they have $3 million they could give them. That's what they have today. They could have more later, but today that's what they have.
Sure.
Okay, and I was just going to say, and again, this is nuance. I'm not saying LeBron won't play for the minimum ever, because this is what happened today. I said, the Cavs can only give LeBron $3 million, and I haven't heard that LeBron's willing to play for $3 million. In the aggregation, LeBron will not take less money. No, that is not what I said. I said I haven't heard it. I said I haven't heard that.
That's right.
So there's just a progression that has to happen. And by the way, that progression could happen because I tell people in Cleveland, well, the Cavs can only offer $3 million, and they're like, well, he's a billionaire. And I'm like, okay, I agree with that. I'm not spending his money.
No.
The pathway for the Cavs to improve most likely is going to be a trade, and to improve massively is most likely going to be an Evan Mobley trade. And they're not trading Evan Mobley for LeBron James.
That's correct.
Okay.
They're trading for a player that's today better than Donovan Mitchell. And if they can't do that, Evan Mobley will be on the team. And maybe they won't be able to do that. To be clear, I'm not guaranteeing that's going to happen. But again, if you look at all the recent teams that have gone on to win the title, they've all made significant moves to get better, whether it's adding Aaron Gordon.
And I'm not even sure if I were the Cavs, I would trade Jared Allen for LeBron, because this is something that the Laker followers have suggested. Oh, just sign and trade LeBron for Jared Allen. Jared Allen makes $28 million. Like, that could be a representative salary for LeBron.
I better be getting a first round pick or two if I'm the Cavs in that deal.
I'm not sure I'm not doing that. What I would say to LeBron if I were the Cavs is, LeBron, we've got $3 million for you. That's what we have. Now, and maybe they make a deal. Maybe they make a Mobley deal, or maybe they make the Harden deal, and maybe they make a Strus deal. Maybe they get to where they have the taxpayer mid-level, which is $6 million. Maybe they say, LeBron, we have $6 million for you.
Well, here's just the real deal of it. Like, at the end of the day, James Harden is not as good as LeBron, even probably right now, but he does basically what LeBron is going to do for you, more or less. Like, so if you have James Harden, who at 37 is not playing much defense, and he never did, and you have LeBron James, who this year will be 42 years old and be the oldest player in the league by a couple of years, like, and you have Donovan Mitchell, like, again, to your point, he is not, like, LeBron is still a great player, but for the roster the Cavaliers have, he's not the solve to all their problems. And
let me just say one last thing. Obviously, Harden had an up and down playoffs. He actually did have.
That's what's happened for the last 14 years in a row.
And I interacted with people in Cleveland who were like, just cut him, get his money off of the books, move on. Number one, they can't do that because there was an understanding when they traded for him, they were going to take care of him. Otherwise, he wouldn't wait his no trade clause. But here's one thing that's important. And, let's say the Cavs did do that. It's not like they would have the $40 million that they could then go spend.
Yeah, it's not the NFL salary cap where it's a hard cap and the money just returned.
They're so far over the cap that if they said goodbye to James Harden, they would then not have the functional ability to replace him.
They would just lose a good player.
They would lose a good player, and they would lose an asset.
That's right.
So whatever anybody wants to say, want to get off their takes on James Harden, he is going to be re-signing with the Cavs.
Well, and also, James Harden was not brought to the Cavs to be the guy to push them to the NBA Finals. He was supposed to be an accentuating piece to the guy who was supposed to push them to the NBA Finals. Just like he was with Kawhi Leonard with the Clippers, just like he was with Joel Embiid with the Sixers, right?
And Durant and Kyrie as well.
Yes. Well, yes, to go even farther back. But like the last couple teams, it's all been the same thing, right? And at the end of the day, the same problem has existed in all those places. The best player was not good enough. And at the end of the day, Donovan Mitchell was not good enough. And that's where you get back to the question the Cavs have about their roster and why we're talking about all this stuff to begin with.
Okay, that was an extended